The MAVIC Air 2 is 6 months younger than the MAVIC Mini, and it is twice the price of the MAVIC Mini. So which one do you think is the better drone? Of course it's the MAVIC Air 2. It's far superior, far higher specification, but the question you're asking is not really which one is better, rather which one is the most suitable for you. Now, I don't know your needs, I don't know your wants, I don't know your experience, I don't know your budget, so everyone has different considerations when it comes to purchasing a drone. I'm going to give you some facts, some comparisons, and then you can make up your own mind based on your own personal circumstances. Stewart here from Drone Film Guide, the channel where we learn to fly like filmmakers. In this video, I am going to consult our MAVIC purchasing guide. I made a table outlining all the different features. You can check it out. There's a link in the description below. I think it's a very useful way of checking out the specifications of all these drones if you're considering making a purchase. And do grab yourself a copy of our free ebook From Drone Zero to Drone Hero, 37 tips to get you flying like a filmmaker. It's what you do with the drones that counts, much as geeking over camera specifications and so on and so forth is a lot of fun as well. Spoiler alert, with the exception of portability, the MAVIC Air 2 outperforms the MAVIC Mini in basically every single category. It is a far superior drone, and that is not a reflection on the poor quality of the MAVIC Mini. This is an apples and pears comparison. It is not fair. This is twice the price of this. It should be a lot better for that very reason. So don't get upset if you feel that I'm criticizing your MAVIC Mini. I am not. As you've seen on this channel, we have done some amazing things with this MAVIC Mini. We are massive fans. Talking about portability, yes, the MAVIC Mini wins. 249 grams. It has a small controller that's this size compared with the rather larger MAVIC Air 2 controller. If portability is your main concern, or registration of the drone and that whole 249 gram thing, then yes, the MAVIC Mini is the better drone. The build quality of the MAVIC Air 2 is far superior to that of the MAVIC Mini. Coming in at 570 grams versus 249 grams, it's kind of easy to understand why that is. Lots of you have commented saying that the MAVIC Mini does very well in collisions, it bounces off things because it's lightweight. Lots of you have said that the MAVIC Mini disintegrates when it hits things because it's lightweight. So I think the jury's out on that one. Different people have different experiences, but ultimately it's impossible to argue that the MAVIC Air 2 does not have that good, solid quality that you feel when you pick up a MAVIC 2, for example. The MAVIC Air 2 is far more powerful than the MAVIC Mini. It has a top speed of 68.4 kilometers versus 48.6 kilometers. Now, I'm not so bothered about top speeds. What I am interested in is the implication for windy conditions. Now, both in terms of stability when I'm filming, creating nice cinematic moves, but also just the peace of mind that I'm going to get that drone back if I'm quite high up and quite far away and weather conditions change, for example. Much more peace of mind flying the MAVIC Air 2. The MAVIC Air 2's camera performance in video mode is unquestionably superior to that of the MAVIC Mini. We have a nice 4K image all the way up to 60 frames per second. That outperforms this MAVIC 2, certainly in terms of resolution at least. On the MAVIC Mini, we're restricted to 2.7K resolutions up to 30 frames per second. Happily, we've had an update that allows us to have 24 frames per second in addition to 25 frames per second. So the MAVIC Mini is a beautiful little cinematic machine, but we can't get away from the fact that it does not have 4K. It's up to you to decide whether that matters, because if you've seen on our channel, some of the shots that we've got from this MAVIC Mini are just gorgeous. I would much rather have a good quality camera than loads of resolution, and the quality of this camera is really very good. If we compare bit rates, we have 120 megabits per second versus 40 megabits per second. I don't get too carried away with that number. If I'm honest, I've not seen that as being a particularly accurate indicator of picture quality in the past. Sticking with the cameras, the MAVIC Air 2 gives us raw photography. It is JPEGs only for the MAVIC Mini. If you're an aerial photographer, then this is a huge win for the MAVIC Air 2 and reason alone to pay up for this drone, especially when you consider the fact that you can also get 48 megapixel JPEGs on this drone. It really is far superior from a photography perspective. Since we're talking about photography, let me bring your attention to one of our sponsors here on the channel, Luminar 4. Very nice piece of photo editing software for beginners through to professionals, JPEGs all the way through to RAW. Just a solid standalone piece of software, buy it once and it's yours. None of that subscription model monthly payment stuff that Lightroom Photoshop combination has. Some really cool tricks in there like the one-click sky replacement, but above all just a nice standalone photo editor. Do check it out, link in the description below. MAVIC Air 2 utilises the OcuSync 2.0 transmission system between the controller and the drone, giving a stated video transmission range of 10 kilometers. This compares with the enhanced Wi-Fi system that the MAVIC Mini has, stated video transmission range of 4 kilometers. Now, anecdotally speaking, with these enhanced Wi-Fi systems, you're probably going to get nothing like 4 kilometers, it has to be said. It depends on whether there's any interference in the region, any physical obstructions, etc, etc. The OcuSync 2.0 is far superior, probably one of the main reasons to pay up for the MAVIC Air 2. I'm never going to fly 10 kilometers away, but if I'm doing a cinematic move under pressure, I don't need my FPV glitching out on me, and for that reason OcuSync 2.0 is invaluable. The MAVIC Mini has no obstacle avoidance sensors, the MAVIC Air 2 does. Now I hear you saying only an idiot crashes their drone. Well, if that's the case, then I'm an absolute idiot, because I have done it many times, and that's despite flying drones that have obstacle avoidance. So it depends. Do you think you can control the urge to fly your drone like a maniac? If the answer is yes, then you'll be fine with the MAVIC Mini. If the answer is no, like 99.9% of the population, you're definitely going to want to think about a drone that has obstacle avoidance. The MAVIC Air 2 has 8 GB of internal storage, the MAVIC Mini has none. I cannot tell you how many times I've left the house with the memory card still stuck in the computer, only to find out that that once in a lifetime shoot would not have been possible were it not for the drone's internal storage. The MAVIC Mini's intelligent flight modes are restricted to the quick shots. Now, we have produced some stunning cinematic moves using those quick shots. In the right hand, they are amazing. That being said, the MAVIC Air 2 has not only those quick shots, but it also has 3 of our favourite intelligent flight modes: Active Track 3.0, Point of Interest 3.0 and Spotlight 2.0. So if that's your thing, then it's a win for the MAVIC Air 2. I think that covers most of the things I find important when looking at drones. There's a few more things to mention. We have Advanced Pilot Assistance System 3.0. It stops you crashing into things, gives you some kind of automated way of using the obstacle avoidance to glide around objects. It's a great feature for beginners. It's not something I've really ever used, to be honest with you. 8K hyperlapse on the MAVIC Air 2. That's pretty sweet. Drone hyperlapses are awesome. We have a choice between D-Cine-like and normal picture profiles, so we can get a nice flat image that's better for color grading. I do like the D-Cine-like profile, and it's on the MAVIC Air 2. We only have a normal picture profile on the MAVIC Air. We have access to the H.265 codec on the MAVIC Air 2 for some smaller file sizes. Personally, I won't be using it myself. My old MacBook Pro, it doesn't really have the hardware capacity for handling the H.265 codec, but for those of you with nice new and expensive computers, that might be something that's of interest to you. I think the way to look at this is to see the MAVIC Air 2 as an incredibly capable drone for the price, and not to see the MAVIC Mini as an incapable drone, because I know that on pretty much every count the MAVIC Air 2 outperforms the MAVIC Mini. I reiterate, this is an apples and pears comparison. It is not a fair comparison. This is twice the price of the Mini. It should be much better and much more capable than the Mini. So you need to make up your own decision based on your own needs, your own wants and your own budget as to which drone is for you, but hopefully that helps you. Do grab yourself a copy of our MAVIC purchasing comparison chart, link in the description below, our ebook From Drone Zero to Drone Hero, 37 tips to get you flying like a filmmaker, and we will see you next time here on Drone Film Guide.